Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Grace, and it's very nice to meet you. This is my first video on camera, and as a subject, I decided to talk about creating and not just consuming, to encourage you to just start creating and not only consume. And I thought that this subject was fitting for my first video on camera because I've spent a lot of time watching people on the internet from TikTok to YouTube. Instagram, not really. I don't really like Instagram. But TikTok and YouTube, everyone, they seem so confident when they come on camera and they share their knowledge, their opinions, no matter how foolish, no matter how funny and silly they are, they still come on and share it. And I have spent hours just watching others live their lives, share their ideas. And there's nothing wrong with, engaging with other people and learning from them. I think the problem is just when you only consume, when you only sit um, and stare at a screen for 4 hours straight. That's a problem because you're just passive. You're just sitting there receiving the ideas and the opinions of everyone else. But what about your own ideas? What about your own opinions? Why aren't you engaging? Even if you don't share them per se, even if you don't come on the internet and share them, why aren't you creating? Um, and I think that one of the blocks of people, something that blocks people from creating, is this idea that it has to be perfect, that perfection is somehow the standard, but it's really not the standard. I think that creating just for creation's sake, no matter how bad, no matter how rudimentary, is a lot better than just sitting and staring and receiving everyone else's ideas. What about your own? What a you know? And I've been writing for the past year, and before that, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot. I do enjoy literature. And one of my favorite authors are Dostoevsky and Oscar Wilde. I absolutely love their ideas. Oscar Wilde is so witty. He's such a funny, humorous, brilliant author. He's such a genius with his words, the way he uses words, the way he constructs them, constructs sentences is absolutely brilliant. And as someone who does want to write, I'm a bit intimidated when I read their works. I'm like, oh my god, how can I create something as witty as Oscar Wilde? With Dostoevsky, my favorite book of his is The Brothers Karamazov, and Dostoevsky is known as a master psychologist for a reason. And when I read his book, especially The Brothers Karamazov, when I heard about the Brothers Karamazov, I was like, okay, I'm going to read it. I was looking at the plot. The plot sounded interesting. Theodore, the father of the brothers, he's a character for sure, and the brothers have such distinct personalities. And I think to myself, oh my god, this is definitely a read. This is something that I want to read, right? So I go into the book and I'm reading, and I'm just captured by their thoughts, and I'm captured by their actions. And one of the characters that just drew me into the book and actually enraptured me and made the Brothers Karamazov sort of like my personal Bible is Father Zosima. And he was such a compassionate, devoted monk. And if you don't know who Father Zosima is, he is the head monk of a monastery that Alyosha, one of the characters, one of the brothers Karamazov, wanted to um, be a novice at. Like he wants to join the monastery, but he decided to take a trial first before actually committed to be a monk. And Father Zosima was his idol. He absolutely admired Father Zosima, and I do too. But my point here is Father Zosima was such a compassionate, giving person. And even in his illness, even in his ailment, he was compassionate. He sought to help other people out and he sacrificed himself for others. And it was such a heartache to me when I was reading this, where Father Zosima passed away. And I was expecting the people that he has helped to rally around him and celebrate his life. But instead, he was just met by mockery and ingratitude. And that was absolutely heartbreaking to me. I felt the heartbreak, I felt the pain, I felt the disappointment. And I think Father Zosima was discussing with one of the people. He was, one of his is it a constituent, one of his members of the church, I guess, and when he was still alive. And I think the character said something to the lines of, "The more I love humanity, the more I detest man." And I think that that sentiment perfectly captures what happened when Father Zosima passed away. And in spite of his hard work and his commitment towards the people, he was just met with ingratitude and his death and insults and mockery when he passed away. And my point is here that Dostoevsky is able to create such complex characters in such complex worlds and create a world that, yet it's fictional, but it perfectly um, encapsulates the human experience. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how can I do that? Like, I'm just such a novice. I'm probably too young to actually understand the complexities of the world, and I've lived my whole life in this like shelter. And how am I supposed to and capture that complexity? I'm not Dostoevsky. I don't know. I haven't suffered that much. Thank God, and knock on wood. But how am I supposed to create such complex, moving characters? But the point is that that is quite irrelevant. It is really irrelevant if I was to become a virtuoso in whatever aspect I decided to pursue, because I do enjoy the process of writing a short story and creating characters and creating a world that's just so out of it's from your imagination. And you basically decide the fate of these characters. You create these characters. You create your own world, your world building. You're creating your own language. You're having fun. You decide, you know what? I'm just gonna go kill off this character just because. The power is in your hands, and you do fall in love with the process of creating. Over in TikTok, there's this thing with Quan Mills where he's apparently terrorizing everyone with his crazy titles, and everyone's just shocked, like, "Oh my God, how could you?" But that's free will. He's using his imagination. No matter how outrageous it is, it's still a work of art because it is a creation. And I know he's not taking it seriously, but he is engaged in his imagination regardless. So if you decide to paint, I paint frequently. I'm not Picasso, I'm not Leonardo da Vinci, and I admire my favorite periods in art history is the Baroque era and the Italian Renaissance era. And while I love, 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 love the works of Bernini and the Michelangelo, I don't know, maybe I could, but I don't think I may never reach their level. But it's the art, it's the process of creating the art, it's the process of choosing my colors and choosing, okay, I'm going to place it there. I want this value, I want light over there, I want the shadows over there. It's the process of creation that's so spectacular. So yes, you have to start small. Start with a page, start with a sketch, start with a rudimentary painting. Wherever you're at, just start there and just keep working on it. And if you decide, okay, I want to, do video essays and come on camera and talk about your opinions, I think that people have this pressure to create something that is entirely original. And I'm here to tell you that there is nothing that's 100% original just coming out of the void. Everyone, even geniuses, have built on the ideas of others, right? So, yeah, start. If you feel like you're copying someone, well, the point is that you're actively engaging with your media, right? And you think, okay, I'm just basically, I have no opinions on my own, and or maybe I agree with this person, so I just don't want to come on camera and say, oh yeah, well, I agree with this person, blah blah blah. Well, come on camera and say you agree with that person, and hopefully, I think that that is a starting point. That is a jumping start. Is it the phrase? Where you know that, okay, this is a starting point to your own self discovery, right? When you start with art, for example, you're learning to paint. You start by imitating the works. A lot of artists do this, they imitate the works of other artists, and from there, they begin to discover their artistic style, what they like to do, and they just work from there, right? So make sure, even if you are imitating someone, you are using it as a point of self discovery and you're going to jump off into your own unique path. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope to continue doing more on camera videos. I'm not going to abandon the faceless videos just because of the fact that for certain topics, I feel like they need to be the visuals need to be centered around that topic. For example, with fashion, I think that the lookbook needs to be on screen so you can see exactly what I'm saying, the illustrations. So I'm not going to abandon faceless videos, but I'm gonna come more on camera to just talk and have fun with you guys. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.